Welcome to SARE Nutritional Therapy. I'm your host, T.L. Matthew. I'm the founder of Some Foods, the maker of Some Sweet, and also a nutritional therapist. On this broadcast, we talk about health news and information as it applies to your everyday life. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up if you like this kind of content. Yes, that means like the video. And we want to hear from you. So comment if you have something that you want to share with us. And subscribe to all of our social medias. And now, on to the broadcast.
Well, hello out there. How are you all doing today? So we're back on another great Tuesday evening. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for spending the evening with me. And I have a great guest here to chat it up with today. But before we get into that, just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. Again, you know that I am Teresa T.L. Matthew. I'm the founder of Some Foods, the maker of Some Sweet, as I like to say, the most spectacular sweetener that there is on the market. That is a sweetener that actually helped me to kick my sugar addiction. And you know how I do. I like to share the screen so you guys can take a gander at that so you can look at that. I do that every time we start the broadcast because I want to just make that known that this is the sponsor of today's broadcast, and that this is the product that actually helped me. So as I come off the screen and it comes onto the screen, and for those of you who are listening on who are listening to this later on the podcast or in the audio version of this, you can't see this, but if you want to take a look at it or if you want to get it, you can go over to sumsweet.com. That's SUMSWEET.com, and you can get a hold of this sweetener. Yes, indeedy. Yes, you can. So I'm not going to take up too much time going over everything, but I just would like to let us know that you can catch this broadcast live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on SARE. You can catch it live on YouTube at SARE. That's SAIRNT. This stands for SARE Nutritional Therapy. You can also catch it live on Facebook at that same acronym, SAIRNT. And you can also catch it on Instagram at Some Sweet Foods and on Twitter at Some Sweet Foods. All right. And you know who's calling in? That's Mom there. She's calling in. So you can catch it there. So you can catch us live, or you can catch us on the rebroadcast in the podcast, wherever you listen to any of your favorite podcasts. How about that? All right. So without further ado, I told you guys that we have a very special guest in the internet with us. I want to say in the building. I don't know if you listen to the Breakfast Club, but when DJ Envy says that you have a guest, we have a very special guest with us today on the internet here in this live broadcast. And I see the screen is messing up. I can't help that. I don't know what's going on with that, but we just, we're going to power through it. I don't know what's going on. And also with the time change, I noticed that some of my timestamps got out of order, and I can see that that's happening here on the platform. So I don't know if that had to do with the time change or what's up with that. But we meet here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm sorry, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. So you can figure that out for where you are for your locale. But I'm Eastern time. All right. So without further ado, we got a great guest with us here today. That is Chef Wendy Coop. She's a personal chef and instructor of confident plant-based cooking. So she's going to tell us some about her health story, and she's going to share with us about how we can confidently cook plant-based. And we're going to, we might break that down a little bit, the difference between plant-based and vegan and all of that. So we're going to just chop it up and just have a little, you get through, chop it up a little bit and have a great conversation. So without further ado, welcome our very special guest today, Chef Wendy Coop. She comes onto the platform. Hey, Chef, how you doing? Oop, let me unmute you there. There you
I okay,
Hey.
good, good. Yeah, I like what you did there with the chop it up.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a little fancy and nice there with the words. So yeah, so Chef Wendy, so you are going to talk to us today. You're a personal chef, and you're going to talk to us today about how to confidently cook plant-based foods. But before we jump into that, tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about yourself, a little bit about your background.
Well, I am an East Coast girl.
All
Uh,
right.
I I was born and mostly raised in Baltimore City, and I have been in the Navy, and I've done like a ton of jobs in my adult life. Everything from selling cars to selling wedding dresses. I delivered pizza. I was a teacher. I did a little of, well, everything
Yeah.
except learn how to cook. I was even a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor, and I knew intellectually all the wellness and health things, but never got around to learning how to cook.
All right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
how that happened? You just didn't take the
Well,
time.
when I left the Navy, I moved back in with my mom before it was cool to be a boomerang kid. I don't even know if it's cool, but
Uh-huh.
whatever. Before everybody was doing it, I
Yeah.
did it. And she insisted on doing the cooking. I mean, I could have cooked if I wanted to, but why? If
I
my mom
know.
was going to do
I
the
know,
cooking.
right? Moms are great cooks, right? So it's like,
Right.
hey.
But here's the funny thing about my mom is that she is a cafeteria manager for an elementary and middle school.
Oh, hey,
So,
girl, you would never cooking nothing.
no, but she knows how to cook healthy. She just
Uh-huh.
doesn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
So at home, we still weren't eating all the healthy food. It was
Uh-huh.
just like there was just fried chicken and stuff cooked in animal fat, and I wouldn't eat the collard greens because she threw some pork in it, and it was just like it
Right.
was just weird. Like I was just, but she didn't have any weight problems. She didn't have any health problems. She still doesn't.
Right.
So she was really cooking for herself
Mm-hmm.
because the rest of us needed a lot more help. And I
Yeah.
didn't realize how much help until first my sister, one of my sisters, I have two sisters and a brother, um, who lived in the house with us. And
Uh-huh.
so one sister got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And
Oh,
then the other sister got gestational diabetes when she was pregnant. And then 2 years ago, my doctor said, "Oh, so your diabetes is diet controlled?" And I said, "What? My what is what?" I didn't know what she
right.
was talking about. I did not know.
So
And
nobody, so she just assumed that you knew that you had some sort
Mhm.
of condition.
Yes, she had been looking through my lab results in my file because she was still, this was only our second, maybe third appointment, and she was in a new office, so she wanted to make sure she was going through everything, which I appreciate. But in going through everything, she discovered this diabetes thing that I knew nothing about. So, and I actually talked to her today. She called me today
Okay.
to go over blood work, and she asked today. She said, "Well, when were you diagnosed?" I said, "When you told me."
Right. So you
When
were
you
in the
asked the
Navy.
question, yeah,
So
you
so
informed me.
you have been in the Navy like all this time, or how long was this after you had came out of the Navy? I guess that's the question.
So I got out of the Navy in 2004.
Uh-huh.
If you looked at my charts in lab work, the
Hmm.
diagnosis should have happened around 2007 or 2009.
Okay. Okay. So a few years after you got out of the Navy, because I was like, I know they
Mhm.
check you. You know, they that you have to be in the military. They check your health
Yeah.
and you get your regular physicals and fitness and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah,
So.
and I always was lean. I always passed everything that I was supposed to.
Hmm.
I always passed all my physical fitness tests, but um when I got out of the Navy, I was at the lower end of what was healthy for BMI, for my height. So I weighed about 114 pounds, but
Hmm.
still normal weight.
Right.
as far as that chart's concerned. But
Right.
then I started to gain weight. And every time I gained weight, somebody was like, "Oh, well, be careful, you might get diabetes." Okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, I don't have it. So leave me alone and
Right.
I'll try to figure this out because once again, like I said, I was
Right.
certified as a personal trainer, still am. Uh I was teaching group fitness, so I
Yeah.
knew things, right? I knew
Right.
things.
Right. Right.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
There was a lot I did not know.
Right, right. So when you were going, so I'm assuming that in between time you were still going to the, going to the doctor, getting your,
Mhm.
getting annual checkups or physicals, because it's probably
Yes.
habit because you was in the military. So that's kind of, they train, you're trained to kind of be habitual with things.
Yeah. I was going to the Veterans Hospital for all of my treatment. Still going to the VA.
Hmm.
And I don't pay for it, so there's literally no reason for me not to go. So
Right,
I'm like I was in there all the time for various, for the various things that needed to be checked. I stayed up on those appointments. So
right.
yeah, I was in there. They knew my face.
So how did they miss giving you your pre-diabetes diagnosis or your diabetes diagnosis?
That's a good question. I remember that 2009 test, um, because it came after a I did a 10-mile race. So
Hmm.
back in 2008, I was running a whole bunch of, it. So it wasn't 2009. It was actually this was late December 2008 that this test was done. But I
Hmm.
had been running all these races and then coming through at the end dehydrated, but with a high blood sugar. Like
Mm.
aerobic exercise actually lowers blood sugar unless it's so strenuous, in which case it might raise the blood sugar,
Right,
which
because yeah,
I've seen. So I've
yeah,
had days where I was still fasting and then I went to a kickboxing class and then I tested my blood sugar and it was 197.
right. Okay.
How's it 197? I didn't eat. Because it was the stress of the exercise. But in
Yeah, I
this
think
case,
we better explain that how
yeah.
that can happen. Can you help explain that to the people how that can happen?
So just in the same way that your body, when your body is under stress,
Mm-hmm.
um, your immune system starts to act weird. You can get sick more easily. You don't sleep. And all of these things affect your blood sugar too. If you're
Mm-hmm.
consuming more sugar than normal, not I would say more than necessary, but more than normal, and then you're adding, let's say, caffeine in there because you're not sleeping, and all these things are stressing on your body, and then you go do something like kickboxing, and your
Mm-hmm.
body's like, okay, fight or flight,
Right.
we need to do something, so let's rush all of these hormones and this insulin so that you have the energy to do what you need to do to get out of this situation. So
Yeah.
my body basically didn't know that I was exercising. It thought something was wrong.
Right, and and that's because you probably at this point, because you said you came out dehydrated and all of that, so
Mhm.
you exhausted your glycogen stores, and the only way that it
Yeah.
could get glycogen was to actually attack the muscle, and then as
Mhm.
it releases the glycogen from the muscle, then the insulin is released to uptake it, and so you got this constant process going on that's really
Mhm.
trying to rapidly get you the energy that you need,
Right.
because you didn't have another source of energy to work with.
Right. So back in 2008 with the race, I actually ran with one of those belts with the bottles where like you fill some of them with water and you fill some of them with Gatorade.
Uh huh.
Well,
9 teaspoons of sugar.
that's that's what I was doing in 2008.
Yeah.
And so so I got to the end and I guess I didn't look so well. And the
Mhm.
paramedics asked if they could check me out. And I said yes. They asked if I had diabetes. I said, I'm pretty sure I don't. No one's told me I did. Why do you
Right.
ask? And they wanted to check my blood sugar, and they did. And at that point, like I said, at the end of a 10-mile race, it was 345.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I took that information to my doctor at the time, who is no longer my
Wow.
doctor. And
Oh,
she didn't believe me. She thought the paramedics basically tested me wrong.
yeah. Wow. 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 That was a very high number for what you had just uh, the work that you had just put in, the exercise.
Hmm.
I mean, that's gotta wow. And the doctor didn't
Right.
believe you.
She did not believe me. And so I had a neighbor who had type 2 diabetes, and her son had type 1 diabetes, and so she would give me like extra meters. Like she had extra meters for some reason. And so after
Yeah.
that she started giving me extra meters so that if I wanted to I could test my blood sugar. um
Right.
but yeah, the doctor was just in complete denial that anything was wrong, and it
Hmm.
was once again just go and lose some weight. And I was like, okay,
Did you
I don't think I need you to be my doctor anymore.
right? I mean, wow. Wow.
Hmm.
Talk about medical neglect.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went through after that a series of doctors who worked out of the women's health clinic so that I could get all of
Hmm.
my care out of the same clinic, and thought everything was just fine. The only thing anybody kept saying to me was lose weight, because if you don't lose weight, you'll become diabetic. Well,
But they
joke's
weren't
on you
testing your blood
people.
sugar?
Huh?
And they weren't testing your blood sugar?
Oh, they were testing my A1C, but I never looked at the tests. Every once in a
But
while, they
they
would give.
did.
Yeah, but they wouldn't tell me that anything was wrong. So I assumed, like a lot of people
Wow.
do, that nothing was wrong. No news is good news,
Wow.
right?
Wow. Wow. That's
I
crazy.
I didn't even know what I would have been looking for if I had looked at those blood tests.
But still, they should have said more to you than you need to lose weight.
Hmm.
Actually using the terms instead of you're gonna be a diabetic. Hey, listen, lady, you're pre-diabetic.
Yeah.
You need to watch out.
Hmm.
Wow.
They never,
Wow.
and that's what I told the doctor this afternoon when I talked to her. I said, I never heard the word diabetic. I never heard the word pre-diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
So I was never given that chance to rectify things because I didn't know there was anything to change.
Right. Because you're working out, you're running
Hmm.
races. I
Yeah,
mean, you're teaching exercise classes.
right. And
Wow.
I was still at 170 pounds, and
Yeah.
I couldn't get the weight off, and I didn't understand why.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I
Wow. So that's something else. We're going to take a little break here, and when we come back, we're going to keep talking to Chef Wendy and find out how she became a personal chef and all of that. But wow, wow, wow,
Mhm.
wow. This is great conversation. We'll be back after this short break. A change in diet and nutrition as a means of controlling and managing the blood glucose levels in the body is important for diabetic individuals. Also, making wise choices regarding the foods you eat. It simply means that a well planned and beneficial diabetic diet regime is one that involves limiting the intake of sweets and sugars, and that's where Some Sweet Plus can help. It can help you ensure that your sweet treats don't disturb your general carbohydrate count. Make and enjoy your sweet treats with Some Sweet Plus. I tried to stop eating sugar, but there was nothing that was good. Monk fruit, eh. Splenda, eh. Oh my God. Xylitol, trots, um, and erythritol. The cooling effect. How many batches of cookies did I ruin trying to use those things? Everyone. Nothing was good. So I was like, there's got to be something out there. There's got to be something better. It's Some Sweet Plus. It was magic. Oh my gosh. Nobody could tell the difference. It was wonderful. All right. And we are back. We are back. We are back. So Chef Wendy, we're gonna just everybody. So just so you know, we're talking with Chef Wendy Coop. She's a personal chef and instructor of confident plant-based cooking, and she was telling us about her story about not being properly diagnosed, even though she and her finding out by totally by surprise how she was that she was diabetic and it was being maintained, but she didn't know it, and she had a few health scares, and she's been sharing that with us. But she was physically active, and I mean, teaching classes and running marathons, and still had diabetes, and she didn't know it. So that's why it's very important for us to get checked. If you want to know that if you're at risk for prediabetes, you can go to the American Diabetes Association. They have a quiz over there that you can take, that will let you know what your risk is for diabetes or pre-diabetes. So please get yourself checked. This right now. This is November. This is the Diabetic Awareness Month. So, and we have Chef Wendy. She's telling us her story about how she found out she was diagnosed, and what she's doing now to help her maintain her health. So, Chef Wendy, we're just going to continue on with your story. Is girl, those numbers, what you said, that took me out. I'm telling you,
Oh, it
that
gets
was.
worse.
Oh
It get
wow.
it gets worse. So here we are, April 15th, 2019. My current doctor tells me I have diabetes because she thought I
Mm-hmm.
knew. And I was advised to basically keep doing what I was doing. Just
Mm-hmm.
maintain it with diet and exercise. I don't know what I was maintaining because she didn't tell me to check anything. She didn't tell me to go see
Right.
the nutritionist. I didn't see an endocrinologist. I didn't see anybody. She just kind of sent me on my own. And
Right.
I tried to maintain some semblance of an exercise routine. I'm not even gonna lie and say I tried to eat healthy. I just ate like whatever, which is what I was doing
Mm-hmm.
before. And last May, 2 months into the pandemic, I started having frequent thirst, frequent urination. My vision was blurry. And
Okay.
after about 5 days, I said, "This is not good. I should
Mm-hmm.
maybe Google these symptoms." And that's what I did. I Googled the symptoms, and Dr. Google suggested that this was a diabetic issue. So
Uh-huh.
thankfully, I had a meter, even though I was told
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need one. Pulled out
Mm-hmm.
the meter. This is about 1 o'clock in the morning, okay? And the meter said it was over 600. That's what my blood sugar was. It was over 600. I couldn't even get an actual number because the meter didn't go that high.
So it started just doing those blanks and crazy stuff
It just
as
said
it
it
was
just
trying to
it gave me
read.
the greater than symbol and it said 600 and that was it. That's all it would do.
Oh wow.
And I said, "Oh, this is not good. Let me call the nurse hotline and see what I'm supposed to do." And the
Yeah.
nurse basically in her calmest voice said, "You need to be seen like right now."
Yeah. Get to the emergency room.
Yes. So, and my husband wasn't here because he was overseas on a military tour. And for some reason, I didn't call 911. So I actually drove myself to the ER, which
Oh,
looking back on it was probably not a good idea. But I did it anyway. And I
wow.
drove to the ER. I told them my situation. They looked at me like, "How are you even standing
I
uh,
know.
with blood sugar that high?" And so they took
Uh-huh.
me, they took me back to get treated. They hydrated me. They took more blood work. And when my blood sugar was down to about 300 something, they said I could
Mm-hmm.
go home. And the doctor's response to that was, "Now I need you to test your blood sugar. Now I need you to see a nutritionist. If not for the clinic being shut down because of the pandemic, I would put you on
Uh-huh.
insulin, but I'm going to put you on 2 oral medications."
Right.
And that was
Wow.
the yeah. And
Now I need you to see all of these people.
mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
not before.
Mhm.
And those saying prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Right.
So not before, you didn't need it before, you need it now after.
Mhm.
This is
And
this is a strong case of why we have to advocate for ourselves and be like, no, I
absolutely.
think, yeah,
And
we have
and
to
so I
advocate for ourselves.
I said to myself, "Okay, well I tried being vegan before. Let's try it
Mm-hmm.
again." Right?
Yeah.
Vegan's supposed to be really healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
except every time I walked into the kitchen, I felt a sense of frustration and dread. I
Mm-hmm.
was frustrated because I didn't know what to eat. And I was embarrassed that I didn't even know how to make what I I may or may not what I'm supposed to be eating. I don't even know. I don't know what
Right.
I'm doing in there.
Right.
Um, and because my husband was gone, he couldn't do the cooking. There was nobody here but me and the dog.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I said, I've got to really figure this out because if I don't, then I'm I've I'm gonna die. I'm gonna
Right.
have amputations. I'm gonna go blind, and then I'm gonna die.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And so as my diet got better, my numbers got better, but it wasn't until this year, this January, that I
Mm-hmm.
actually took a cooking class. And not
Okay.
just any cooking class. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Forks Over Knives Ultimate Cooking Course. Got a little
Okay.
certificate and everything when I finished.
Okay.
And that is the course that gave me the confidence in the kitchen to not just cook healthy, but go beyond the definition of vegan into what we call whole food plant based.
Right.
And yeah,
Right.
and we'll talk about the difference in a second, but yeah, to cook whole food plant based, to be able to cook soups and salads and make my own dressings without oil, and
Mm-hmm.
to create burgers that are plant based, to have knife skills so that I can properly chop things and dice
Right.
things.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was like not just going from like 0 to 100 for me. The feeling was like going from 0 to like a million. Like every time I had a task, a cooking task to
Mm-hmm.
complete, and I would feed it to my husband and he would like it. And he's a meat eater. He's this hardcore meat eater. And
Yeah.
he would like it. And I'm like, I'm winning.
Yeah.
This is great. I'm winning.
Right. Right.
So I said, this is life-changing information that other people need to know.
Right.
Because what I found out was a lot of people were getting put on plant-based diets by their doctor, but then
Mm-hmm.
they would hop on Facebook and say, "Hey, my doctor said I have to do this, but I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start."
Right. Right. And so you're able to help people to start down the path of what to do with the plant based. So while we
Yeah.
talking about it, so plant based, because I have a friend, she is actually whole foods plant based.
Mhm.
And but then I have friends and people who are also vegan. Now I
Mhm.
know what the difference is, and I know that for a lot of times, hey, I just simply, instead of saying whole food, I used to be a vegetarian.
Mhm.
So, but and I've explained the difference between vegetarian and veganism, but
Yeah.
I have never explained the difference between plant-based or whole food plant-based and vegan. So
Yeah.
can you tell people what the difference is?
Sure. So imagine there's three columns. One has plant-based, one has whole food plant-based, and the other has vegan.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Dr. Michael Greger, the author of How Not to Die and How Not to Diet, would say, vegan tells me what you don't eat, but it doesn't tell me what you do eat.
Right.
So, vegans do not eat anything that comes from an animal. So, no meat, poultry, seafood, dairy, or eggs. They also
Mm-hmm.
extend that to their lifestyle, which means they don't use products or clothing items that are made from animals as well, or have animal ingredients, or even have been tested on animals.
Mm-hmm. And they
Plant
count and just with that, I want to just throw in there, they count
honey,
bees
yeah,
as animals. Yeah.
yep, bees count too. So, so no honey if you're vegan.
Yeah.
Whole food plant-based and plant-based, however, are not as strict. Think of them more like a continuum. So their whole food plant-based would be one end of the spectrum where you're avoiding meat, poultry, seafood,
Mm-hmm.
oils, and avoiding dairy, avoiding eggs, but we're not saying cut it out completely. You don't have to. You could be 90% plant-based and still call yourself whole food plant-based.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Plant-based will still allow the oils in there. Vegan still allows the oils in there, but whole
Mhm.
food plant-based says we're going to avoid the oils as much as possible.
Does it cut out? Which one of those programs also cuts out sugar and salt?
That's usually whole food plant-based.
Okay, so they do no sugar and salt as well.
Right. But the way I learned in the cooking course is if it's when people learn how to cook, they typically learn to season as they go
Hmm.
with the salt. So instead, what we do is season at the end.
Okay.
So you're not going to really use the salt until the end, and not until after you've tasted it, obviously.
Okay.
But in the right recipe, you're probably not going to need it anyway, because
Hmm.
what you're going to learn, and as your taste buds adapt, what you're going to learn is how oversalted everything was in the first place.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, because I generally tend to not cook with directly with salt,
Hmm.
but I mean, I'm a seasoning salt kind of girl.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
So yeah.
I have a whole, cabinet full of, things like Old Bay and oregano and cumin and paprika and, all the things. But I got the Old Bay in there. I have
Yeah.
all purpose seasoning in there. I understand.
Yeah, yeah, I'm a seasoning kind. I put some seasoning salt, but I don't put no plain. I don't put any plain salt. But
Hmm.
no iodized salt, no type of
Right.
salt, but just the seasoning salt, which has enough salt in it.
Hmm.
You know, I put a little bit of that in there, and then every other spice I have in the cabinet goes into the
Yeah.
pot as well.
Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I love to spice it up. I love to use garlic powder
Hmm.
and onion powder. I think we got an echo coming
For
from the.
mine.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Let
You hear
me
hear
let
me
me see
twice?
what I can. I don't hear you twice.
Okay, I'm hearing myself twice,
Uh-oh.
but that's okay. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
But no, I love onion powder, minced onion,
Mhm.
garlic powder, not
Yeah.
salt, not onion powder or onion salt or
Mhm.
garlic salt. No, just the powder
Right.
and the minced onion or the minced garlic, and you the dried ones, and you just put that in there. Man, I put a lot of that in there, a lot of those seasonings in there. So
Mhm.
but that's what I like to do. So can you give us some tips how, if you're seasoning, if you're salting at the end, because as you
Mhm.
said, foods are over salted. Can you give
Mhm.
us some tips on maybe some spice mixes or something you can do to make your foods come out tasty? And you said you're whole food plant based, so you're not cooking with any oil. So can you give us some tips on that?
Right. So first with the oil thing, because that's a little easier, or maybe that's the harder one for people to wrap their heads around. They're like, well, how am I supposed to saute if I'm not using extra virgin olive oil, or if I'm not using
Hmm.
avocado oil or grapeseed oil or whatever? So the internet is your friend for all kinds of substitutions. I
Hmm.
made brownies a couple of weeks ago, and the original recipe actually called for vegetable oil, but
Hmm.
instead of vegetable oil, I used the equivalent of unsweetened applesauce.
Okay. Okay.
So, depending on whether you're baking something or cooking something savory, um, will depend on what you substitute in for something else. And it also depends on how that ingredient is being used in the recipe, because sometimes that ingredient, if you omit it, doesn't matter.
Okay. So you said you
Um,
used unsweetened applesauce
Applesauce.
in your
Yep.
brownies. So then that was also substituting your sugar as well?
No, the sugar for that brownie recipe, that particular brownie recipe used powdered cocoa,
Hmm.
and we also used organic vegan cane sugar.
So okay, so you use cane sugar in the recipe.
Right, instead of like white granulated sugar. Um,
Okay.
this vegan cane sugar was actually brown.
Okay. And so for
But it's
those of you who don't know, you can also use some sweet up in there, and
yeah,
that's like zero sweetness, or I mean, sweet,
exactly.
but zero of the calories that come from the sugar, and no insulin
Mhm.
spikes with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then when it comes to sautéing, you can dry sauté
Okay.
your onions and your garlic, and then but then if you feel like you need some moisture in because it's starting to stick to the pan, you can
Hmm.
add in water or vegetable stock
How
or
would you
wine.
dry saute without putting your, but without adding those things? How would that occur? You'd have to very low heat, or how
Um,
would that happen?
you can put it you no, not low heat. So you're gonna start on medium to high heat, and then
Uh-huh.
eventually you're gonna turn the heat down.
Okay, so it's going to be sweating off itself.
Right. And
Okay.
then and but again, it depends on the recipe. So either you're gonna start with those things in the pan, like if you're making soup, you're probably gonna start with a little bit of vegetable stock
Okay.
in the pot or in the pan to saute those onions and other aromatics before you start adding in the bulk of the ingredients for the soup.
Okay.
But
Okay.
if you were, say, let's see, I made a recipe that was garlicky mushrooms with spinach and brown rice. And in that case, I started off with a dry pan and used the vegetable stock to deglaze the pan once
Okay.
the vegetables started to stick.
So can you tell me, well, tell us what kind of pan you're using.
Oh, so honestly, all my stuff I either bought from Amazon or Target. So if it's if it's a nonstick pan, I'm
Okay.
probably buying it.
Okay.
I have a couple of heavier, like 12-inch nonstick pans. One that's all steel or stainless steel from Cuisinart that I got from
Hmm.
Amazon for like $30.
Okay.
Because I wanted it with a lid. And then I have another
So is
one.
stainless steel on the inside as well?
Yes, the whole thing
It's,
is nice and shiny and stainless steel.
okay. You got to tell me how you can cook in there without any oil. Or is your pan seasoned real good?
So you don't have to season this pan. Here's what you do.
Okay.
If you've got a stainless steel pan and you're going to say you're going to deglaze something, you're going to
Hmm.
start off with the dry. But you want to make sure that pan is hot enough from the beginning. So if
Okay.
it's a stainless steel pan, what you're going to do to test the pan for heat is you're going to put a drop of water in there, a couple of drops of water. And if
Okay.
that water beads up, like like
Hmm.
mercury in a thermometer,
Yeah.
if it beads
Yeah.
up and rolls around, then your
Yeah.
pan is hot enough.
Okay.
If it doesn't beat up, then it's not hot enough. And
Okay.
if it kind of bursts and starts to steam, then your pan's too hot.
Okay.
But that's
Okay.
only for
Okay.
stainless steel.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I have stainless steel, so it's like I want to know how I can do that without putting any oil in there. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Great news for us.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like I said, when those vegetables start to stick, then you either put in the water, or the vegetable stock, or a little cooking wine, or whatever the dish or the recipe calls for. Um, and then if you're deglazing, and that just simply means reducing that liquid down further. That's all it
Okay.
means. Just a
And
fancy
so the
cooking
reason
term.
why this is And the reason why this is important for us to know, my light just went out. The reason why this is important for us to know, because these are the things that Chef Wendy did to help her to bring her numbers back down, to bring her numbers down to the
Hmm.
range where she needs them to be. So back into the normal range. So
Right.
that's why this is important that we learn different cooking techniques and
Hmm.
and things like that, and how to cook foods so that they'll remain they'll be healthy, they'll be delicious, and
Hmm.
we'll want to keep eating them when
Right.
we cut out certain things. And like this may not be for everybody, but this may be for somebody,
Hmm.
because you everybody is an individual, and
Hmm.
you have to try, especially if your numbers, or if you're diabetic, pre-diabetic, you want to get those numbers down. So you want to
Yeah.
really modify and change your diet, because it's too risky, and you definitely, most definitely, want to cut out the extra sugar.
Yeah. And the wonderful thing about eating this way is that regardless of whether you're doing it because of diabetes or some kind of heart disease or blood pressure,
Hmm.
it still works. You know,
Right.
eating healthy for one thing is eating healthy for all the things. And
Yes,
that's,
yes, yes,
you know,
yes.
and a lot of people, because of the way we see and hear things in the media, are stuck on individual, what we call macronutrients: fat,
Hmm.
carbohydrates, and protein. And they're saying, oh,
Right,
I need this certain food for protein or this certain food for carbohydrates. When if you have a varied diet, you can
right,
get all the nutrients you need.
right, right. You need a whole diet. You need to eat whole foods, and you need to eat
Mhm.
complete foods. You just need to eat everything
Mhm.
different in lots of colors on your plate. There's lots
Yeah.
of delicious fruits and veggies out there that we can consume, and that's what we need to do.
Right. And so last night, so I'm not 100% whole food plant based. I'm about 90, 80, 90%. And so
Hmm.
last night I had scrambled eggs, but those scrambled eggs had diced green peppers and
Hmm.
diced tomatoes and onions. So there was a
Okay.
whole lot going on with those.
You
Um,
cook them all together, or it was an omelet?
it was no, it was the eggs were scrambled.
Scrambled. Okay.
So the veggies got cooked first, and
Hmm.
then the eggs were added in. But I also have an egg substitute. Oh yeah, I wanted to say that be careful on food substitutions. If you're trying to decrease the amount of meat that you're eating or the amount of
Hmm.
eggs or dairy, be very careful with the ingredients of, like, things like fake sausage, fake
Hmm.
burgers, fake
Hmm.
meatballs, because some of those things are very high in fat still and very high in oil. And the reason why that's important is because fat has 9 calories per gram,
Right.
whereas carbs and protein only have 4 calories per gram.
Right.
And
Right.
so I know of someone who said, well, I'm going vegan, and I'm going to be healthier. But then she ate all of these fake burgers, and it actually made her cholesterol go up.
Right. And I think that's really important because a lot of people, because veganism is popular,
Hmm.
and so all of what people don't realize is that those foods are still processed foods.
Yeah.
And when they're taking something out, they're putting something in. And
Yes.
so in order to try and get the same palate pleasure, they're trying to they don't care what put in as long as it pleases the palate,
Hmm.
and or it can kind of give the same palate pleasing effects as the original food. And
Right.
so you have to be really, really careful. And I think people don't realize that because they think they equate veganism with skinny. I'm going to be
Hmm.
vegan and I'm going to be skinny. Well, I've
Hmm.
seen some plus size vegan people, and they
Yeah.
say they're
Junk
vegan
food
and
vegans.
junk food vegans. Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
And
Because
here's
Oreos are vegan. I like to
yes,
say that Oreos are
Oreos are
vegan.
vegan. Twizzlers, I think, are vegan.
Yeah.
A lot of candy is vegan. Um, but yeah, I learned a couple of weeks ago, this interesting fact about milk, about cow's milk. A
Hmm.
lot of people are told to switch to 2% or 1% milk because it's supposed to be
No,
healthier.
don't ever do that. Yes.
No,
Tell them why.
exactly. So here's why. First of all, when manufacturers take away the sugar of something or take away the fat of something, they usually replace it with sugar. That's the first problem. The
Right.
second problem is that there's actually more fat in 2% milk than there is in whole milk,
More
because the
sugar.
whole more, yes, and more sugar. But if all you were doing was looking at fat,
Hmm.
whole milk has about 4% total fat.
Hmm.
And if
Hmm.
you and then you say, well, wait a minute, Wendy, didn't you just say fat has 9 calories per gram? I did. So
Yeah.
now we have a fat and a sugar problem. And now we have a dairy problem because you're probably lactose intolerant too. And then you're like, oh my gosh, this stuff, they're trying to kill us.
Right, right. I think I'm not sure I've scheduled a broadcast to come forward, but I'm talking about fat versus sugar.
Hmm.
Probably I think it's tomorrow's show. Talking about fat versus sugar and what is
Yeah.
which one is worse. for
Mm-hmm.
you, for your insulin, for driving diabetes, which one causes diabetes. And the studies have shown, I mean, it's the information is remarkable with regard to the studies about that. And so you guys gotta watch tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll give the information on that. But it's really the it's remarkable that what happens, that because fat has been taking all the brunt of the
Mm-hmm.
blame for
Mm-hmm.
everything as it pertains to our health. Your health is
Yeah.
bad because of the fat, and sugar has not gotten any of the blame. But
Right.
I mean, when those two do a dance together,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
we're
you
gonna
sit
talk about that
here.
tomorrow.
Yeah, and you know what I'm talking about when you sit here and you're like, "Man, I'm craving sugar. I'm craving sugar. Must have sugar. Must have sugar." And then you're like, "But I decided I was going to eat healthy. I don't have any sugar around. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do?"
Yeah. Some sweet, that's me, but that me.
I I try look, I tried I used to say, "Oh, I can handle just one little Debbie snack cake a day."
Oh,
No,
oatmeal
no,
pies for
no.
me. I love the oatmeal pies.
I and then when I realized I couldn't do that, I told my husband, "Okay, so hide it on the very, very top of the cabinet so that I can't reach it." Well, then I remembered I had a little
Pies
stool, and
too.
if I climbed on the stool, I could get the snack cake. So finally, I had to say, "You know what? I just can't buy them because if they're
Out
in
the house.
here, they're gonna get eaten. So we have to find plant-based, healthier alternatives to the little Debbie's. Little Debbie's, I love you, but I can't. I can't
I
anymore."
know. I know. Chef Wendy, we're gonna take a quick break and we're gonna be right back. And
Okay.
this is good. I'm enjoying this conversation. Are you guys enjoying this conversation? Let us know in the chat. Well, wow. Then we're gonna be right back after this short break.
Acquiring diabetes simply indicates that you should put an end to the consumption of sweets. Even though diabetics are prevented from eating sweets, experts agree that occasional intake of sweets will do no harm. The major concern is in ensuring that sweets are taken in controlled quantities, and that's where Some Sweet Plus can help you ensure your sweet treats don't disturb your general carbohydrate count. Make and enjoy your treats with Some Sweet Plus. A change in diet and nutrition as a means of controlling and managing the blood glucose levels in the body is important for diabetic individuals. Also, making wise choices regarding the foods you eat. It simply means that a well planned and beneficial diabetic diet regime is one that involves limiting the intake of sweets and sugars, and that's where Some Sweet Plus can help. It can help you ensure that your sweet treats don't disturb your general carbohydrate count. Make and enjoy your sweet treats with Some Sweet Plus.
All right, we're back. We're back. Oh my gosh. I am so enjoying this conversation.
This is good. This is good.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, Chef Wendy, I mean, we gotta tell the people where they can find you. Now, I did. I went out and I was looking for you, and I saw your YouTube show. So tell us a little bit about your YouTube show and all the places where they can find you, and how someone can join you in a cooking class.
Okay, so here's the absolute best thing to do. Go to
Okay.
my website, chefwendycoop.com, and download your guide to plant based living. That way, I can sneak into your emails and tell you all the good things, and that you will be the first people to know when I open up cooking classes, which I'm going to say, could be as soon as next month.
Okay. All
Could
right, you guys.
be.
It's up there
If
on
you
the
guys show
screen.
enough interest, there could be a pop-up December class. But
Okay, just in time
I
for
am
the holidays.
yes, but I am planning on running an actual cooking boot camp starting in early January.
Okay. A cooking boot camp in early January. All right, you guys, I'm gonna push this back so you can see it again here, and get your pen and paper out. or you're gonna have to rewind the tape to pull up that information. So you can if you follow her or go to her YouTube channel. I got your YouTube channel up here too. So your YouTube channel, or go to her website at chefwendycoop.com,
Mhm.
and you'll be able to get her plant-based cooking guide.
Yes,
Get
and if
that.
you're looking for me on Instagram, I recently had to update my handle. So my Instagram is Mrs. Wendy Coop.
Oh, okay, so let me change this. So
I
so when
apologize. Instagram, is a work in progress. We're all trying to figure out Instagram.
oh yeah, well I can't say nothing to that because all my stuff is somebody else set it up for me.
Well, those of us who are doing it by ourselves are still trying to update and work with that algorithm.
Oh yeah, yeah. Tell them about it. All right.
Mm.
So yeah, so you guys go over there, go check her. So you said it is. Ooh, let me see. Instagram is
Mrs.Wendycoop.com. That's why
Mrs.
that's why I share
Wendy
all
Coop.
the things.
Okay, mrswendycoop.com.
Mhm.
All right, I'm gonna push it back up there, you guys, so you can see it, so you all can see it, and take the notes there, so you can get a screen capture if you need to. It should be coming back. It's gonna
There we
take over the
go.
screen. Yes. Make sure everything is right there.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So you said you might be doing, if enough interest is shown, so you guys go
Mhm.
ahead and show some interest so you can get this
Mhm.
cooking class going, so you can cook some great um, plant-based foods for the holidays because they're coming
Yes.
up. And
Yes.
we need to be mindful. Holiday time is the time where everybody just, they go for broke on the
Mm.
diet, and I mean, you can go for broke on vegetables, lettuce,
Yes.
look,
I ha-
lettuce and salads and all that kind of stuff, but you don't need 10 desserts. One
no.
dessert is fine.
I was at a local restaurant the other day, and I had what they called a Mexican Caesar salad.
Hmm.
Um and it had salmon on it, cuz I chose that instead of chicken. But I realized that even without the salmon, I would have
Hmm.
been full just off of that plate of vegetables.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
it was it like, I stayed full for so long, it just wasn't even funny, like, I was just like, "Why did I pay the extra for the salmon? I totally didn't need it." They coulda that I didn't even need any beans on there, I was just like, "Just give
Hmm.
me the vegetables."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's so many different things that we could do with just vegetables. You can actually really be fully satisfied with vegetables. I keep saying I'm gonna show you guys my salad bowl. I'm gonna show you all my salad bowl. I'm gonna have to remember to bring it in here and sit it next to me when it's not in the sink because I'm using it
Mhm.
all the time. But a big old bowl of salad. I'll eat a bag of
Yeah.
lettuce, and I have to stop myself from eating the whole bag of lettuce and save some for my daughter, because I can do the whole bag by
Mhm.
myself every time.
Yeah.
And I have a favorite lettuce, and that's butter lettuce. That's my favorite.
Oh,
Uh,
I love butter lettuce.
yes, isn't it good? It's so good.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and so that's my favorite is butter lettuce. And then every now and then I want some crunch, crunch, crunch. I go for the romaine.
Mhm.
But butter lettuce
Mhm.
is my favorite, and I just dump the whole bag and throw my tomatoes in there and all, everything.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
cut me
to
up an apple, some
Uh-huh.
onions, some olives, some mushrooms, bell peppers,
Mhm.
celery. Girl, please, you be
And you
stuffed.
and you know what I hear people saying, "But I don't like salad." That's because you had a sad salad. You had a
Oh yeah,
sad one. And
yeah.
and all salads don't have to be cold either. So, like, today's salad for me, for lunch was quinoa, black beans, garbanzo beans, corn,
Oh,
and baby spinach with a spicy chipotle no oil dressing that I made from that cooking
okay,
course.
okay, okay.
Like,
Ooh,
come
y'all
on.
hear
That's a good salad. Like, even my husband ate it, okay?
that?
There was no
Yeah.
meat in the salad, he still ate it.
Yes, yes, yes. That sounds yum yum. Y'all better get on that cooking course because that salad sounds good. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
hit you up for that one.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and it came from I thought to myself, "I want a salad. What do I want in this salad?" And I really sat there and thought and started to build this out in my head, but like I said, had I not taken that cooking course and really gotten into it, I wouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
even had the knowledge to be able to say, okay, this goes with this, and just put it together.
All right. Yeah, I know. I know my mom is somewhere saying, I know she's listening, and I know she's somewhere saying, yeah, salads. She loves salads. She's a queen. I call her, she's a queen of salads, man. She'll have her a nice, let's see, that plate is about 10-inch plate, and that's
Hmm.
filled up with salad, with all the salad fixings and all the salad stuff. Now
Oh yeah.
she can make a good salad too.
If
Yeah.
it can go in
Yeah.
a bowl, I love food that goes in a bowl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, when I went home to visit her, she was like, I said, give me the biggest bowl that you have. You know,
Hmm.
it's like akin to one of her like large mixing bowls, but it was one of her storage bowls. It was really, really big and round. I was like that. She's like, what you gonna do with that? I was like, oh, that's my salad bowl. It's gonna be my salad bowl.
That's
Well,
right.
we are almost out of time here. Let's go ahead and give them your information again, Chef Wendy. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Hey, you guys, if you enjoyed this, give us a thumbs up, like this, and give Chef Wendy a round of applause. I
Thank
have
you, thank you,
enjoyed
thank
this.
you. This was so much fun. So much fun, and definitely the highlight of my day today. So
Oh,
thank you
well,
so
thank
much.
you. Thank you for joining us. Let the people know in our last few minutes here where they can find you again.
So definitely go to my website, chefwendycoop.com, and get your guide to plant-based living. You can also find me on Instagram at Mrs. Wendy Coop and on YouTube at Wendy Coop.
Okay. All right.
It was
Well,
kind of anticlimactic there.
I enjoyed this conversation. This was really, really great. And I've learned a lot too. I hope you all learned something. Leave me a comment if you're, wherever you're watching this, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. Leave a comment. Let us know how you enjoyed this broadcast. Reach out to Chef Wendy and join her cooking class. At least get the information that she's dishing out for you guys. That she's got over there just waiting for you. And
Hmm.
Chef Wendy, I appreciate you so much. I have really enjoyed myself today. Thank you,
Thank
thank you,
you.
thank you. And
Thank
you
you
can,
so much
hey,
for having me.
oh, you're welcome. Thank you for joining. And everybody, you know how we do. Till next time. I gotta go. I always have to find the right screens to get up everything. Y'all know me. All right. Till next time. Well, that's it for today's broadcast. Want to thank you all for tuning in. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up if you like this type of content. Also, comment and subscribe to all of our social medias. Peace and blessings.